Hello everybody! Welcome back to Needle Workshop. Today I'll be showing you how to make Zelda's Tabard from the game Ocarina of Time. The blueprint for this piece is available on our online store with the full pattern set for Zelda. The link for this will be in the description box below, and we also have several videos available for all of Zelda's costume pieces here on our YouTube channel. Before getting into the tutorial, I want to make clear that this is how we made our Tabard design using various embroidery techniques, but it isn't the only way to make it. Some people might prefer vinyl applique, hand embroidery, painting, etc. Feel free to research any and all techniques and find the one that is best suited for you. I also suggest printing out the blueprint in various sizes and testing the fit on you before getting started on the project. Everyone comes in different sizes, so try to make sure to get the right size and fit for yourself. And without any further ado, let's get started. So, I'm going to be showing you two different ways of creating an embroidery patch. One technique uses a regular domestic sewing machine, while the other one will be using my home Genome embroidery machine. All designs on the embroidery machine were designed by me using several computer softwares. We'll start by looking over the technique with the domestic machine, since this is the one that is more accessible for most. Firstly, you'll need fabric in the color of the embroidery piece, double-sided adhesive, and embroidery stabilizer. Make sure to place the double-sided adhesive between your fabric and the stabilizer and iron everything together. The pieces I'm currently developing are the triangles from the Triforce. The first thing I'm doing is I'm drawing my innermost triangle design onto my fabric. Using a simple straight stitch, I'm going to stitch along my line, further securing all of my levels together and helping prevent any puckering. Next, I'm going to set up my stitch into a zigzag and adjust the settings for a nice tight stitch. Once I'm ready, I'm going to embroider along my line. Make sure to iron out your fabric before the next step. Now that my first embroidery design is done, I'm going to draw out the outermost layer of the triangle design. I'm also placing light-colored tulle-like fabric under my already existing fabric. I'm going to secure the fabrics together by first stitching the design with a straight stitch. Making sure not to cut into the tulle-like fabric, cut off all the other fabric pieces close to the stitch. Set your machine back onto a zigzag stitch and sew along the edge of the triangle. Once you're done, cut off all excess fabric. And there you have it, an embroidery patch made with a regular domestic machine. The next series of embroidery pieces are made using our Genome 350E embroidery machine, which we purchased secondhand. It's not the best embroidery machine, but it definitely does the job. I'll be making the same set of red pieces to show off two different techniques I've developed on the embroidery machine. For the first technique, you'll need tulle fabric of the same color as your tabard and the tearaway/water-soluble embroidery stabilizer. These can be somewhat hard to come by, to be honest. This specific type needs to be paper-like and very sturdy. This technique is ideal for a full embroidery design. Layer your two materials together and set them into your embroidery loop. Set up your machine, thread it, and let it do its job. Once it's done, remove as much of the stabilizer as possible and remove the leftover in water. I actually put mine in the wash on a delicate cycle. The next technique is great if you're embroidering just a border. It requires fabric of the same color as your embroidery and a much softer water-soluble stabilizer. I suggest using the one from the brand Solvi. The stabilizer is much less firm and cannot be used with just the tulle, but works fine with regular fabric and it dissolves much better in water. Place both layers into your loop, set up your machine and the thread, and let the machine do its magic. Tear away the extra stabilizer and keep it aside for future projects, and cut the design out in the fabric. Cut as close to the embroidery as possible without actually cutting into the thread itself. You can mix and match these different techniques until you have all the pieces you need. Make sure to refer yourself to the blueprint for proper sizing. Once you have all the embroidery pieces ready, we can move on to the tabard itself. The first thing I did is cut out the red border design and apply it to my fabric using a double-sided adhesive. This can be a delicate process, so be careful. Refer yourself to your blueprint to place everything properly. Once the red border is glued to the fabric, I'm going to embroider the inner edge of the design in place using a zigzag stitch on my domestic sewing machine. I did use some embroidery stabilizer when doing this. You can also secure the design in place first by using a regular straight stitch. Once you're done the embroidery of the border, you can cut out all excess blue fabric from the edge. Now I'm going to need to place all of my embroidery pieces. To do so, I'm starting by applying my double-sided adhesive to the back of the embroidery. I protect my ironing board with a scrap of fabric, and I use a non-sticky paper to apply the adhesive. I cut out all excess fabric and fusible from around every single piece. Using your blueprint as reference and with your trusty ruler in hand, place all of the embroidery pieces where they need to be and iron them into place. Gluing is not enough though, so for extra sturdiness, stitch all of your pieces into place with a regular stitch on your sewing machine. I stitched both the inner and outer edges of every single piece. Once you're done applying all of the pieces, give it a nice ironing job. If you find it's puckering, you can cut the stabilizer in between each pieces. I know that's what I did. Now right side to right side, place your tabard against another piece of the fabric and pin it in place. You'll need to sew all around 1 centimeter from the edge and leave a small opening at the top of the tabard. Ideally, you'd want the back of the piece to be the same color as your border, but unfortunately, I ran out of the red fabric, so I used the blue fabric. Cut all excess fabric from each corner before you turn your piece inside out. Iron your edges flat and then close the top of the opening with a straight stitch. You can also stitch along your border to keep the tabard as flat as possible. I hope this video was helpful. If you like this kind of content, give it a big thumbs up and make sure to subscribe and ring the bell to be notified. You can also check out regular whips and updates from our social media accounts. All our patterns and blueprints are available on our Etsy store, so make sure to check that out. All of the links are in the description box below. I believe this wraps up our video, so until next time, good luck with your projects, guys! Check ça si c'est beau! Mouah, 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 mouah. All the chef kisses!